Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today has the title of Tree Hillside, Umber. Anyway, I painted this back in February. Looks like February 26th to be precise. It's a quickie. It's only 3.5 by 5 inches. Didn't have a lot of time that day, and funny thing is, this is based on a bit of pictorialist reference that I've had for years and years and years, and I thought, oh, I might make a painting, but I had to do some major things to make it work for me as a painting. Yeah. What was that? Well, basically just simplifying some elements, removing other elements, and pushing some things off to the side. So I quite like that tree in the middle. That's, I guess, one of the main subjects of the painting, right? Although anytime you have a little house or something, that really, attracts human attention, because nothing attracts the attention of humans like the activity of other humans. Okay, that's one reason why I didn't put houses in my stuff for a long time. I still, when I do, it's quite vague, and you can tell it's a house, but I try to remove subjectness from it as much as possible. Anyway, I do know what the palette is on this painting. We're flashing it at you right now. It would be Mars Black, Raw Sienna, Raw Umber, and Lead White, all working together to make a nice little painting. Yes. Now, I don't think I've actually haven't done a nice photograph of this or anything yet. It was a bit of a straggler from that whole Umber series. As you can see, we're rolling into 2021, and everything's receding in the review mirror, and it's been like that for a long time here. So hopefully we can just keep on rolling for a long time. I'd like to. I always say I'd like to die with a paintbrush in my hand. Just God takes you right then and there and does something else with you somewhere else, right? And so what I might get into the composition of outdoor painting, we'll see. But before I do, I wanted to talk a little bit about some philosophy. Before we get into that, the live video, it'd be a pretty good one to watch because it's an hour. This painting took just under an hour. I could have worked it more, but come on, it's a 3.5 by 5. You don't need to overwork your stuff. One thing I would have liked that house to be a little more finessed, but it did its job. The whole little painting does its job. That's now 3.5 by 5, by the way, is a stock frame size. That's like a little portrait size for photographs. You can get some really neat frames, and pop a couple of these in your next little show or something like that. Sell them for $100. Took you an hour. You got a frame. You got a commission. Yeah, you might make $50 out of the deal, right? Not too bad. The thing is, though, of course, you won't be able to do. People go, well, you made $50 an hour. It's like, yeah, but that's the only painting I did that day. The rest of the day I was doing other stuff. You can't produce. That's what people ask. Why are your paintings priced in the hundreds and the thousands and things? It's like, well, if you're lucky, you'll do 200 in a year, of all different sizes. Maybe more. I probably average around 225 or something like that. I haven't kept real close track. And then there's always revisions and things which muddy the water as far as keeping track. I do keep pretty significant archives of everything I do. I try to get a very excellent photograph of everything I do, because that makes me feel real good about when I sell it. That I have a record. A recent painting I sold that was like a 12 by 18 or something. They'd had like a little festival at the Quarry Art Center where I work at my studio, and I just finished it a few days before, and somebody came in and said, oh, I'll have that, and I'm like, well, I haven't photographed it yet, so I'll sell it to you, but I'll need to get a good photo. And it's good because I'm using that for my ongoing project And I'm using all those high quality photos, and it's just awesome to have that as a resource, you know. Anyway, what was you said, Mike? You were going to talk about something other than babbling on about your existence. Yes, I was. Thank you. Anyway, hey, before I get into that, check out that raw sienna. It's an awesome color. It really is. It's a neat color. I'm using it a lot now, in place of where normally I didn't use it for all these years because I thought, that's just like yellow ochre, a little more red. But it's handy. I love it. It's a great color. I love all the earth pigments, and yeah, they're a little more grainy. It's true, and the raw sienna doesn't dry overly fast on the palette. The raw umber, of course, dries super fast on the palette. I'd say the raw sienna dries about the same speed as the burnt sienna, which is a heck of a lot more red. And always been on my palette. It's been on my palette since I, moved out of limited palette land a long time ago because it's so handy. Anyway, that wasn't what I wanted to talk about either. I said philosophy, and so I've been reading some books, on various philosophical ideas and stuff, and I won't, bore you with any sort of dogma or anything like that. That's not the purpose of the channel, but one thing that's often touched on in this one book I've been reading is art, and art, and basically how it sort of relates to magic in a way, and not magic like pulling a rabbit out of your hat, but magic as in, revealing something that is sort of unseen until it's been painted, And in the modern era, so many things, there used to be a deep belief in a creator, for lack of a better term. And the idea that there wasn't a creator, that we were just some sort of accident of nature, was just not on anyone's brain. And frankly, I have to say, I think it's an abhorrent idea. I was brought up with that idea, but I abandoned it long ago. And like I said, I won't get into any dogma or stuff, but suffice to say, I think, there's some sort of creator of this world and us and things like that. If you hear some squeaking, it's a little Jerry playing. No, I can't play with you, Jerry. I'm working here. Jerry says, arf. Anyway, in the modern world, where we have ideas like, oh, we're just, you had some zygotes procreating in the ocean 1,000,000 years ago. And they made bigger, better, different zygotes through the process of mutation and evolution and so on and so forth. And everything ended up with us, right? And this is the idea I was brought up with. And, oh my goodness. And that idea, if you believe that, that's fine. I'm not really big on believing stuff anyway, but the thing is, in the modern world, where you have works of art that are devoid of any acknowledgement of a creator, really what you're talking about is just technique. You're really just talking about two things: the human ego, that's just your sense of as yourself as an individual I, and if there's no creator involved, then that's all there is. And frankly, I think the art that comes out of that sort of idea is always going to be not so great, because in fact, if you look at your personal worst work, you'll see it's where usually your intellect and your ideas of how something should be took over to the point that the work became stiff, stale, wrong, and who knows, and a lot of times you might not have even realized it until later. It's like, wow, that's just a terrible painting. Whereas, there might have been things that you tossed off in 2 seconds. You just went boom, and they're great. People see them and they go, wow, that's amazing. And I experienced this, I started painting in the, around 2008 or so. I mean, doing oil painting. I'd done painting for hospitality industry and commercial projects prior to that in the 90s, but taking painting seriously. But prior to that, I was always like a pen and ink guy and a drawer and stuff, and I always loved the guys that their drawings were just jam-packed with a million lines and lots of detail, and every fold was delineated, and that to me was the stuff. That was a high watermark, and I would always endeavor to do the same in a lot of my work. Extremely detailed, and a lot of focus brought to bear. And I used to put all this work in a big binder, some plastic sleeves, and I would sometimes pass it to people, and they go leafing through it. They go flying by something I spent 20 hours on, 30 hours on, and then they'd stop and linger at something I did in 10 minutes. That maybe I drew it with a piece of bamboo or something, and I noticed that. I did. And what I noticed was that it didn't really matter how much time and intellect that I had applied to a piece of artwork that I did. That did not equal that artwork having a positive impact on somebody's existence. I didn't stop somebody and say, "Wow, I really like that. That's pretty cool." So you could have pulled that off in 10 minutes. Now all of this is not to say you should just be tossing off stuff in 10 minutes and thinking that's great. That'd be a whole nother trap. Now the point I'm making more is that all good artwork is really a collaboration between yourself, your intellect, your existence as a person, and the creator of all the nature that you're portraying. And you need to be open to that, and somewhat empty, I have to say, when you are producing your work. If you're just 100% full of ideas about how it should be done and where it should go, and you'll hear this in my live videos, where a lot of times I go, "Well, I didn't think the painting was going to go this direction," but I won't stop it, because I've done this enough to know that you have to be somewhat open. You have to have an idea. The whole thing won't even come into existence unless you sit down and say, "I'd like to make a painting. I think that'd be a really good thing to do with my time, and I hope I make something beautiful that people are going to like, or if at the very least that I like and I think is good." That's got to happen, or nothing happens at all. You could talk about the creator of the universe until the cows come home, but no paintings are going to happen unless you decide that you want to make them. But after that point where you've decided to make it, you do have ideas and experience about painting and painting you've done before, and all that's important, and it's all brought to bear, and all that's going to put your unique personal stamp on anything that you do. There's absolutely no escape from that, really, to be honest. But a large portion of you, at least a third or half of your interior self, needs to be open and empty, so that the universe, for lack of a better word, there is a better word, but I won't bother getting into that, can come in and do its bit and make it awesome. That's the only way anything you do is going to be awesome, is if you're open to that. And anyway, that was the philosophical bit I wanted to impart. I'm sure I lost quite a few people along the way, but that's all right. There's other videos. Anyway, meanwhile, I will be back very soon with another video for you. Hope you enjoyed watching this painting. Don't forget, you can always just put on some tunes and watch the painting happen, Anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a solid, do me a favor, take good care of yourself and your family. Thank you for watching this video, and take good care, stay out of trouble.